Alright, so everybody, eyes up here. Eyes up here, take a look up here. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can kind of edit and adjust the photo to make it a little bit easier to see. So like if you look at the one that I have up here, the picture of Jackie Chan, and then the one I did with Tom Brady. Okay, these two, it's really hard to see the portrait anymore. Okay, so we're going to have to do some tweaks in Photoshop to fix that. So, alright, so I'm going to show you the first thing you're going to do. We're just going to edit the portrait just to see a little bit better. So if you click on the portrait, and what I want you to do with the portrait is I want you to make a duplicate layer of the portrait. So go to Layers, Duplicate. So just make a copy of the portrait just in case you may make mistakes with editing the photo, because you're going to do a lot of editing to a photo where you can't change the edits. Okay, so that's real important. So I just clicked on the eyeball on one of these portraits, and I'm just using the portrait on the top. So just have a backup portrait for you to use. But you're going to click on Image on the top and Adjustments, and we're just going to adjust the brightness and contrast of the portrait. So we're going to brighten it up, and we're going to darken it. Okay, so now I can actually see the portrait a little bit better now with the just brightening up the picture. So just remember, if you're doing the lighten for your double exposure, so this picture of Brady celebrating the Super Bowl, I clicked on the lighten. So just remember, like if you make your images brighter, you can see the like the whites of the portrait better. But if I did the opposite, if I made this multiply, alright, I'm going to see the darks a little bit better. So if I did the opposite, so let's just say I did the opposite. So if I brighten the picture with the light, that's going to show the portrait a little bit better. But let's just say I change this to multiply, and instead for like the portrait, I'll change it to I'm just going to darken it. Actually, still not showing up well. So you might not want to use the multiply. Multiply is really hard to work, but the line comes out pretty well. You adjust that. So I'm just going to line up my portrait so it's easier to see. So that's a little bit better. So that kind of brings it out a little bit better. Maybe now that I can see the portrait better, I'm going to move Tom Brady up into his hair so we can see him a little bit better. Alright. So now, I do want to pop out the portrait even more because, I feel like it's still kind of hard to see. So what you can do is you can click on the portrait, and then what we can do is we can use this tool called Dodge and Burn. So you go to your toolbar. It's this tool right here. You got a Dodge tool, you got a Burn tool, and you want to click on black. The black's going to make it darker. It's going to work kind of like your layer mask, where the darker it is, the more powerful your tool is. The whiter it is, the lighter it will become. So the Dodge tool, what that does is it's brightening up my picture. So if I want to brighten up like certain parts a little bit more, you can use that to brighten it up. Just be careful with brightening up too much. And then so that's the Dodge tool. It's going to brighten. The Burn tool is going to make things a little bit darker. So I'll make this a little bit smaller in my brush. And I'm just going to darken some areas a little bit more. So again, it's still a little bit hard to see in my picture. Again, you have to do a lot of tweaking with it, but that's one option you can use, is the Dodge and the Burn tool. And then another option you can do too is we'll click on the image here. Okay, obviously the shirt's not really that important. Another thing you can do too is again, I'm going to make a duplicate of the layer. Just in case I make any mistakes, I can change it. And I'm going to click on the layer mask. Okay, the layer mask. And I'm just going to erase those areas that I don't need. So I'm going to use a big brush. And I'm going to change it to 30%. Just so I'm erasing a little bit at a time. And I'm just going to erase the shirt down here. Because, the shirt's not really that important. It's more of his head. And that's going to bring out the picture a little bit more. Alright, then maybe I might want to go back to the portrait. I might want to use the that Burn tool again. So at this point now, you kind of have to go like back and forth with your picture, and just like make these changes with it. And if you're kind of curious how that portrait looks without the edits, this is how it's looking in the actual picture. I'm just basically just bringing out the shadows a little bit more in some of these areas, and then the burn tool, that'll bring out the highlights. So in essence, you're kind of like shading like the picture with the dodge and the burn tool, but you're kind of like pushing it to the extremes because you really want that double exposure to pop out more. So now you can kind of see it's kind of blending a little bit better together. Alright. Or if you want, you can do like the opposite too. Like if I want to put like Tom Brady down here, it's possible to put him down here in the clothes. All I gotta do is just click on the layer mask with the where my portrait is, and I'm just gonna erase that part here. Oh, okay, it's not really working the way I wanted it to, but that's just because it's gonna make it whiter. So I'll just leave it like this. Some of these things that you change or move around, it's not gonna work. And then another thing you can do too is, you can fade out the Tom Brady. Like he's a little bit too bright. I'm gonna fade him out a little bit. I'm gonna change the opacity. Just fade him out a little bit. Alright, but these are all like little changes you can do to your portrait. And also you can click on the portrait in the back. Or you just want to like fix the lighting a little bit more. Like, this might be a little bit too much. And you can always change your opacities to, kind of balance out things. Like this looks a little too bright. So at this point now you're just kind of like playing around with the layer masks. And just changing the brightness and contrast and the dodge and burn tool. Alright.